Hello everybody, my name is Tobisatsu and welcome back to the channel. As we wrap up the last chunk of 2024, I'd like to look back and share my favorite films to be released this year. It's been a fairly mixed release year for movies, so let's take a few minutes to truly commend the releases that shined through it all. Starting at number 10, we have Saturday Night. Saturday Night follows producer Lorne Michaels as he attempts to wrangle his cast of comedians together to put on their debut episode of the now infamous Saturday Night Live. Through many trials and hitches, we follow Lorne and various members of the cast through tight scheduling, endless attempts at censoring, and even the possibility of executive sabotage. It's chaotic, fast-paced, and truly makes you feel like you are in the biggest rush of your life. It acts both as a positive and a negative, sometimes making you wish you could intake certain aspects of the film a bit more before jumping directly to the next. But hey, the whole point of the film is to make you feel short on time, so. The acting and editing all around is fantastic, and as someone who isn't even a fan of the show, I still found myself locked into the events of this hectic night. I can see someone who's a fan of SNL having an absolute ball with this. And even if you aren't big on it yourself, I think it could be worth the watch. At number 9, we have Twisters. Being a sequel to the 90s hit blockbuster Twister, we get exactly what the title sells you. I honestly expected not to enjoy the film as much as I did, but coming out of the theater, I found myself pleasantly surprised. There's some pretty great moments with the Twisters themselves, giving you the sense of awe and absolute fear that comes with these forces of nature. The cast all around was solid, and I found myself enjoying the character of Tyler Owens much more than I expected. I also like the ideas they put out. Kiernan Shipka as Addie had a pretty solid character arc of overcoming trauma and embracing a long-lost passion. Having some of these tornado wranglers be streamers was a great decision, and it's done really well. It's easily something they could have screwed up, but they sell it in the exact way I would expect influencers to act if they chase Twisters. Disaster films are definitely becoming a lost art, so to have one that's written so well and gives you just about everything you want is always a great popcorn munching watch. At number 8, we have Dune Part 2. Don't get me wrong, this is a masterclass in filmmaking. It's shot gorgeously, the music and special effects are incredible, the acting is fantastic all around, and the sense of scale easily dwarfs the first film, which already had many of these things going for it. But, much like the first, I found that I just couldn't get myself engrossed in any of the characters here. That is easily the biggest flaw for me, and as someone who can respect the lore and world building done here, it just isn't enough. I'm definitely someone who enjoys the building of characters in film. It's why character studies hook me, so this is a major factor when it comes to my ranking. It may not affect you as much, just something to keep in mind. But even with that said, the movie shines in creativity. Denis Villeneuve has some absolutely amazing ideas in mind with the universe of Dune, and they shine through in such a way that I can truly say it's some of the most compelling sci-fi I've seen in recent years. So many parts stick in my head, and though it's far from my favorite film of the year, I truly have to commend the cast and crew for the incredible piece of film they have created. At number 7, we have The Substance. Man, what a hell of a watch. It's a film that I had my eye on since the trailer hit, and I finally had the chance to watch it on streaming after missing my chance to see it in theaters. The film follows Elizabeth Sparkle, who is on the decline in her acting career, recently being fired from her aerobics show after being deemed too old by her boss. After being recommended The Substance, she gives it a go and finds herself reborn as a younger, more conventionally attractive woman. The rules of the drug state you must switch between your new and old body every set amount of days. And of course, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. As many have compared, This is like if they made a modern version of the 80s Fly, in terms of the body horror at least. It's a lot, and as someone who is pretty squeamish with body horror, it's really effective, with the practical effects being done incredibly. The acting performances from your main leads are applaudable, with Demi Moore definitely deserving the Oscar buzz. I find the film unfortunately begins to lose its focus in the third act. The film as a whole is pretty zany, but once all hell breaks loose, that last 10 or so minutes just loses me. It also has quite a few plot holes and logic gaps you need to try and ignore, which takes you out of the viewing experience. It's definitely not a film for someone who has a light stomach, but if you have the courage to give this a watch and embrace the insanity, you'll be in for something special. At number 6, we have Lisa Frankenstein. The film follows Lisa, who is a social outcast down on her luck, family issues and all. One of her favorite hangouts is the local cemetery, and after lightning strikes by her favorite tombstone,
the creature
is awoken. Lisa finds the creature requires a few new body parts to become whole again, which leads them out on a quest to acquire these body parts as blood and love sparks fly. It feels very similar to Heathers, though I will say I found this film a bit more up my alley. It visually pops, and the performances both from Kathryn Newton and Cole Sprouse are very solid. Especially Cole Sprouse, whose acting is almost entirely done through his body, and it's super enjoyable. Pacing drags this one down a bit, and I can also see this being the kind of film that if it doesn't interest you, you would not be having a good time watching it. I was really happy with how it turned out though, and I definitely recommend it to those interested. Alright, now we're really getting into the good stuff. At number 5, we have Late Night with the Devil. As the name of the film implies, the movie follows the television broadcast of show host Jack Delroy as he provides an interview with the devil. From the sets to the way it's shot, to the sound mixing and overall vibe, it just truly feels like this is a real late night broadcast that you're watching. David Dastmalchian is awesome, playing up everything as required and making for the perfect choice as a desperate late night host, in over his head gambling for ratings. The effects used are charming, with much of what is shown being practical, playing well into the effects you'd see back when this film takes place. The little documentary they play at the start of the film was a smart and effective way to lead into the broadcast naturally, and some of the ideas and themes they have relating to higher-ups in the entertainment industry and such really sucked me in. I do think it is worth mentioning the drama in relation to the AI-generated bumpers used in the film. Personally, I don't agree with it, but even then, I don't see it as a reason to prevent yourself from watching this film, especially with the love and passion the crew put into the rest of it. It's a film that lived up to the hype, and if you have yet to see it, I highly recommend you give it a watch. At number 4, we have Ultraman Rising. I wasn't really sure what to expect from this film. The story seemed pretty basic, and overall the animation had a distinct look I was a bit hesitant about. But after watching it, I can happily say it was one of the bigger surprises in terms of film this year. The film follows Ken Sato, a star baseball player newly transferring to a Japanese team, as he juggles not only his professional and superhero life, but now also has to take care of a newly hatched kaiju named Emmy. The story and characters here were a lot more interesting than I expected from the trailers, and I find the themes of parenting and taking responsibility for one's actions, big or small, to be simple but endearing. Ken is the perfect character to lead a story like this. He's cocky and skilled, yet flawed and currently going through a low point in his career and general life. I really appreciate how the film handles his complicated relationship with his father and the way it translates to him raising Emmy. The animation looks gorgeous. The angles and proportions of the characters are greatly exaggerated, And while in images, I don't think they hold up too well, when you see it all in motion, it's just a visual delight. The action is also a standout, with some really solid set pieces in varying locations and situations the film plays through. Kaiju animation is something I'd really like to see more in the future. This film has passion and heart put into it, and with Tsuburaya making such a push to get Ultraman more well known here in the States, this film is a fantastic starting point for newcomers to the series. At number 3, we have Nosferatu. This is a remake of the infamous Nosferatu, now with a Robert Eggers flair to it all. It is absolutely fantastic, with Robert Eggers being a great choice to direct this film. He's easily one of my favorite directors right now. He just knows how to truly put you into the time frame his movies take place in. The atmosphere is palpable, and the acting from everyone involved is incredible. Of course, the biggest standout is Count Orlok, played by Bill Skarsgård. The moment he is on the screen, you can literally feel the dread that is produced. It's incredible what is able to be done with the atmosphere, music, and the way that Skarsgård carries himself as Orlok. I really can't say a film has made me feel such a sense of dread in recent years, and to that I tip my hat. Absolutely massive shout out to Robert Carolyn, as the soundtrack is what really ties everything together here. It's a film I'm very excited to see again soon, and another fantastic addition to the line of films directed by Eggers. Be sure to check this out as soon as you can. I have a feeling with time, this film will end up higher on my list. At number 2, we have Stop Motion. I had no idea what the film was about until I saw it in theaters, and I think that honestly helped me enjoy it that much more. The film revolves around Ella Blake, who is looking to finish the stop-motion film of her dying mother. While shooting the film, an unnamed little girl weasels her way into the shooting room, looking to add some of her own twisted improvements. Looking for validation, Ella gives into the girl's demands and begins a downward spiral as the film she creates begins to take a darker tone. The film starts as a hardcore slow burn, but once the last half of the movie gets going, everything begins to kick into gear. I know a complaint with this film is the lack of stop-motion sequences, but personally I find what was done to be quite captivating, and the way that it's used later into the film I found to be creative and well done. Ella's struggles and conflictions are handled well, and I like the fact her boyfriend is genuinely supportive through and through. I feel like in most horror movies, there's a point the significant other just dips after some shenanigans go down. So to have him actually attempt to keep this long relationship afloat made for some good tension and drama as the film progressed. There's some really good disturbing moments throughout the film, and the way everything is shot and portrayed adds to this grimy, disgusting feeling the film gives off. I highly recommend giving this a watch, and if you don't know anything about it, go into it blind. It may be the best way to truly watch the film. Finally, at number 1, we have Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Oh boy, I know, just hear me out. Out of the 3 movies, it's easily the best. And even with the issues with pacing and tone balancing during serious moments, I think this film all around is just super solid and well made. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, and the Robotniks are finally given the stage to truly do what they can, and it's legitimately straight cinematic gold. Action, comedy, visual, music, emotions, just everything here really does tickle my fancy in a way nothing else has this year. While I think the other films in this trilogy have been really good, this one just really speaks to me, and even though there is a bit of bias going into this, I can easily crown Sonic 3 as my favorite film of 2024. If you want to hear my thoughts on the movie a bit more, I have a non-spoiler review out, link in the description. Welp, that'll do it. In total, I watched 54 new releases this year, And while I missed a few films I'd like to watch down the road, I'd say I covered most of my bases. Overall, 2024 was fairly mediocre, with Nosferatu and Sonic 3 honestly saving this from being a pretty bad year. If I had to rate the year as a whole, I'd probably give it somewhere around a 6 or a 6.5 out of 10. Hopefully 2025 has some great films in store for us, and you can count on me making many more reviews in the foreseeable future. What'd you think of my list? Do you agree or disagree with any of the films I put? Be sure to leave a comment either way, and be sure to leave your list for your favorite films of 2024. I'd love to see what y'all have been watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. And if you want to see more content from me, be sure to subscribe. Trust me, I have much more coming headed into 2025. For now though, thanks so much for watching. This has been Tobisatsu, and I'll see you all next year.